All right, so how many grams of hydrogen are produced when we have that many moles of zinc? So how many steps is this one going to be? 3 steps. 3 steps because this is a mole to gram. So that's 3 steps. Whether it's mole to gram or gram to mole, it's going to be 3 steps. What was my next question? How many molar masses are we using? Just one molar mass. And is it of the known or unknown? Are you using it at the beginning or the end? You are actually using it at the end. So you would be using the molar mass of the unknown in this case, which would be hydrogen. And how you can know that is because since you're going from moles to grams, since grams is what you're going to, that means you're going to use the molar mass at the end. If this would have been a gram to mole problem, then we would have used the molar mass at the beginning. And then last, how many sig figs? I was just doing this to refresh our memory. 3, exactly. Oops, don't want that. The 560 are our 3 sig figs. All righty. So today I'm going to kind of go over the stoichiometry roadmap with you. If you do not want to use it, that is fine with me. But for some people, maybe it helps. All right. So let's look at that. All right. And we're just going to be using this middle portion right now. Like I'm going to circle it. Y'all don't have to, but that part is all we're going to be using right now. The other thing, the top part would have been where it says representative particles. That would have been where you would have been using Avogadro's number. And then the bottom part where it talks about volume, that's when we would have, where we'll use for our, whenever we do gas laws. Let's see, I'll make this just a little bit too. Oh, I'm going to hit this, I forgot. All right. So first of all, notice that this is my known side. This is my unknown side. Whenever you see a square, a box, those are conversion factors. So so you're going to multiply as we go from our mass to our mass. So if I have the mass of my known, and whenever we do these problems, you'll actually want to put the mass over 1. It'll make it a little easier, kind of like we set ours up. All right. Then this is what you would do. So you would take your mass that you were given, and your first step tells you would multiply by 1 over the molar mass of your known. So this little system is not about finding units. Okay, this little system is just about plugging in numbers. If you stopped right there, that would give you your moles of your known. So for some reason we had a problem, you had grams of your known and you wanted to figure out how many moles you had, then you would just use this box for the first conversion factor. We've kind of already done those earlier in the year. We're really using the longer one, so we would move on. So my next step I would set up is that I would multiply by my molar ratio, and it tells you you're going to use your moles of your unknown over the moles of your known. If I stop right there, that would give me the moles of my unknown. So that's where I would stop for a gram to mole problem. And then if we needed to go further, if we needed to do a gram to gram, then I would take my last step, which is the molar mass of my unknown over 1. And that would give me the mass of my unknown. These circles where it says moles of known or moles of unknown, Those are not conversion factors. So that's not a step where you're going to be multiplying or dividing by something. That just tells you if I stopped right here, that's what I would have. And then if I went from moles of known and I did one more math product and stopped right there, I would get to my moles of my unknown. So if you look at it real simple, if we just did a mole to mole problem, which is what we did on Tuesday, you would start with the moles of your known over 1, and you would simply multiply it by the molar ratio, and that would get you to the moles of your unknown. So that's what we would have done on Tuesday, just that one little short system. All right, so let's put this into play. And remember that your molar ratio is always what connects your known to your unknown. So if you were only working with your known, so if you want to figure out how many, if you have the mass of your known and you want to figure out how many moles, you would stop right there. You would not go any further because you don't want to go to the mole ratio if you're only working with your known. All right, so let's work some problems. If you'll look on your stoichiometry on the back, and I have to figure out how I'm going to have to work this one. All right, back to stoichiometry notes. I think there were some more practice problems back. Is that what I got? Yeah, I think so. All right, let me blow those up a little bit. Okay. So this one says how many grams of potassium hydroxide potassium chloride. I was like, where did I get potassium hydroxide? So this is my known. My potassium chloride is my known. No, it's my unknown. Probably. Are produced if 25 grams of potassium chlorate decompose. So that's my known. So we're not worried about oxygen. So I'm going from gram to gram. So I got to go all the way across this chart. So I'm going to start with my given, which is 25 grams of KClO3. And like I said, if you put it over 1, it'll help you out. So I'm right at the beginning. I'm outside of the box right now. My first box says to multiply by 1 over the molar mass of your known, which in this case is potassium chlorate. So that would be 122.55. If I stopped right there, I would know how many moles I have. Okay, but we don't want to do that. We want to keep on moving on. So I go to my next, I would know how many moles of my known I had. I want to go to my next conversion factor. So my next conversion factor in that box says multiply by the mole ratio with your unknown at the top. So how many moles do I have of my unknown? 2. And your known at the bottom, which I also happen to have 2. So I did the box, that's the box in the middle. So if I stopped right now, I would know how many moles of my unknown I had. But we want to go one more step. So my next box says multiply by the molar mass of the known over 1. So the molar mass of my known is 74.55. So you just do like we were doing. You would do 25 times 2 times 74.55. and then divide by what you have on the bottom. How many sig figs would our answer have? 3. 2 times 74.55. 2 times 3, 6, 6. I got 15.2. Is that what y'all got? Grams. And you have to be sure that you put your units on it, because with this system, you're not keeping up with your units at all. You're just filling in numbers. So you kind of more just kind of memorizing the order that they go in, or not really memorizing because you have this to refer to. So does anybody find that they think that will be useful for them? Yes, no? So one system is using your information and following the units. This one is using this, and you're just kind of forgetting about your units so you get to the very end. Does anybody have any questions on any of those numbers, or where I'm getting them from, or how to follow the chart? All right, let's do another one. And this one does need to be balanced. So I think I need a 2 here, a 3 here, and a 4 here. So it says how many moles of iron. That's just plain Fe. So that's my unknown. If you notice, I'm marking these differently than I did yesterday, because in here it's really important that you know what your unknown is and that you know what your known is pretty quickly. Must be used to produce 125 grams of iron oxide. So that's my known. So I'm not worried about my oxygen. So this one is going to be a gram to mole problem. So that means I don't have to go all the way across. I'll start at the beginning and I'll stop when I get to the little oval that says moles of unknown. So we still start the same way. I start with the mass of my given. And I'm going to put that over 1. So I'm just getting started right here. So my first box says multiply by the molar mass, or the reciprocal really of the molar mass, which means I'm going to put a 1 at the top and the molar mass of my known, like it says, at the bottom. So if I stop right there, I would know moles of my known, but we don't want that. We know moles of our unknown. So we have to go through the mole ratio portion. So it says to multiply by the mole ratio with the ratio of your known on the bottom. So how many moles of my known do I have? 2. In my unknown, I have 4. And then that gets me to the second oval, which is moles of my unknown. And that is what we wanted. So now I just need to do my math. Make sure my sig figs are good. I cannot. And this unit would be moles. Did y'all get 1.57? So which do y'all like better? Or y'all just, maybe you have to decide after you try a few of them. Do y'all want to try number 3 and then we can check it together? Try number 3 using the chart. Did you have a question, Judah, before? I'm sorry, I took that off. All right. You do got to balance this one. Not as hard to balance as that one yesterday. Mercy, I don't know what that. Anybody have an answer yet? Anybody get 453? No. Let's see. All right, so let's work through this one. We want grams of copper. That's my unknown. And I have 4.75 moles of ammonia, so that's my known. So since I'm starting with moles, I wouldn't start over here because that's mass. I got to come in and start here at the oval, moles of known. So that's where I got my 4.75, and like I said, I put it over 1. So the first conversion factor I'll do right there in the middle, and that's my mole ratio, which says I should have my unknown at the top. So how many moles of my unknown do I have? 3. And then at the bottom for my known, I have 2. So if I stop right there, it would tell me moles of my unknown, but we need to go further. So I'll go to my next conversion factor, and it says multiply by the molar mass of your unknown over 1. And the molar mass of my unknown is just copper, so that's 63.55 over 1. And that's all I need. 3 steps, just like it's 3 steps when we do it in our boxes. Divided by 2. Oops, I got a different. I'm multiplying by 2. That doesn't help. Times 3 times 60. I got, and 3 sig figs, so we would want 453. And my units are grams. So as y'all start to do your practice here in a minute, y'all play around and see which one y'all like better. Just going back to one thing on the, pulled up. Closed it out. All right, let me get back. If you're using this road map and you need to work backwards, probably wouldn't happen that much. But for instance, if you had moles of your known and you wanted to convert it to grams of your known, we did this way earlier in the year. We don't go through that middle. We don't go through that molar ratio because I'm not trying to connect my known and my unknown. I'm just trying to stay with my known. So if you work, what I should have started. Don't want to say. Yeah, no, that's what I did want to say. I didn't make sense there for a minute. So work back. If you're going to work backwards, you need to flip your conversion factor, which is what's in the box. So in other words, if I had, let's say I had 3 moles of sodium and I wanted to find out how many grams of it, I would start here, but then I would have to flip it. So now I would multiply it where its molar mass was on the top and the 1 was on the bottom. And then that would get me to mass of that same known. So if you have to work backwards, take your conversion factor and do the flip, which means you're just changing where the 1 is, and then that'll get you through that way. Alrighty, so y'all have the rest of the period to work on your practice. If you have any questions, let me know. I can go through some with you if you need it. Or if you struggle a little bit with the roadmap, I can walk you through some of those too.